In the opening scene, we are introduced to June, a young boy who lives in an orphanage. His parents died in a car accident some years back, and that's how he's ended up here. June finds solace in his passion for drawing, considering it a means to keep negativity at bay and bring happiness into his life. Alongside his artistic talent, June also possesses impressive fighting abilities. He shows us a small demo by successfully defeating a 9th grade student. It is revealed that he inherited this trait from his father, who is a former national-level Taekwondo player. One evening, a chief agent affiliated with National Intelligence Service named Deok Gyu pays a visit to the orphanage. Aware of June's fighting prowess, Deok Gyu aims to train and recruit him as an undercover agent. He encourages June to aspire for greatness and follow in his father's footsteps by contributing to the nation. From that point forward, June embarks on his training, gradually developing into a formidable fighter and earning the prestigious title of an elite assassin. But despite all this, June remains committed to his passion for drawing. He is always making new sketches, even when on dangerous missions. One day, June is assigned a mission to apprehend Simon, a fugitive, and the younger brother of a notorious criminal named Jason. June easily manages to capture Simon alive, and during the subsequent interrogation, the National Intelligence Service, also known as the NIS, discovers that Jason has recently departed Busan by ship. A few moments later, a talented newcomer to the NIS, named Chiol, enters the scene to receive training on criminal interrogation techniques. However, before they can delve further into the matter, Simon passes away due to the gruesome torture. Not very good training for Chiol. Following this, Deok Gyu orders June to eliminate Jason with utmost urgency. Without any delay, June gears up and boards a helicopter that is bound for Jason's ship. Upon reaching the specified area, he bravely leaps from the helicopter, but unfortunately fails to deploy his parachute, resulting in a dangerous fall into the sea. In the aftermath of this incident, June is presumed dead, leading his team to gather and offer a final tribute in his honor. However, their assumption proves to be incorrect, as it is revealed that June is actually alive. In a surprising turn of events, June seems to have staged his own death to abandon his role as an undercover agent and pursue a career as an artist. The story then fast forwards by 15 years, where June has become a webtoon artist. Was it really worth it to June? He is currently married to a hardworking woman named Mina, and they have a 9-year-old daughter, Ga-young. At first glance, it appears as if they are living happily, but things are quite different from the inside. June is struggling badly at work, and he is always under constant pressure to meet his editor's deadlines. He is also subjected to negative comments that undermine his confidence. This has resulted in a serious lack of finances at home. But despite his shortcomings, his wife remains devoted to him and supports him in every way possible. She works double shifts, while June takes care of all the household chores, including cleaning, cooking, and preparing their daughter for school. He also secretly works at a construction company to support the family. Currently, June is working on a comic project that is not meeting expectations, much like his previous works. However, the consequences this time around are dire, as his editor demands that he conclude the comic in the very next episode due to the reader's lack of interest. June pleads for an opportunity to continue as he needs the money, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. That evening, feeling dejected, June sits in front of the television with a drink and reflects on his declining life. Frustration overwhelms him to the point where he begins writing a comic that vividly recounts his own past, including intricate details of his journey as an undercover agent. The following morning, June awakens to a surprising change in his wife's demeanor. As she prepares breakfast, she informs him that she thoroughly enjoyed his recently written comic and took the initiative to publish it on his behalf. She proudly shares the positive comments from readers who have shown great enthusiasm for the comic. This revelation sends June into a state of panic, as he never intended to divulge any details from his past, especially the sensitive and confidential information it contains. Worried, June hurriedly rushes to the editor's office, pleading to retract the published comic. He insists that he only wrote it while under the influence of alcohol. However, the editor adamantly refuses, citing the public's appreciation and enjoyment of the work. In the next scene, as June returns home, dejected, it suddenly begins raining. Concerned that his daughter Ga-young did not carry an umbrella, he heads to her school to pick her up. While waiting outside, he observes Ga-young's friends being collected by their affluent parents in luxurious cars. This sight deeply affects him, as he realizes his inability to provide even a piano for his daughter. Hence, June ultimately makes the decision to create further narratives based on his past experiences. He writes thrilling accounts of capturing notorious criminals, as well as his exploits as an elite assassin. With the publication of these news stories, the comics rapidly spread across the internet, capturing the interest of a wide audience, including Mina's colleagues, Ga-young's classmates, June's editor, and numerous children in the town. As time goes by, the family gradually manages to overcome their financial crisis. As a result, June finally fulfills fulfills his daughter's long-standing desire by purchasing a piano for her. However, along with greater success comes greater challenges. Elsewhere, Deok-gyu visits a cybernet facility in order to conduct an investigation, but he is taken aback when he comes across two children who possess extensive knowledge about the secret missions of the National Intelligence Service. This includes classified information regarding the training provided to underage children and molding them into merciless assassins. Curious about the source of their information, Deok-gyu engages the children in conversation and discovers that it all stems from the recent viral comics. Upon going through them, he is astonished to learn that the comics even have the real names of the NIS agents and the criminals. June is going to wind up on the podium at the Darwin Awards. Later, a worried Deok-gyu holds an emergency meeting with the NIS officials. During their discussion, they reach a startling conclusion. June, the highly skilled former agent renowned for his extraordinary drawing abilities, is alive and is responsible for exposing the NIS through the medium of his comics. Concerned about the potential repercussions for the nation, the director of the NIS, Hyung-do, tasks a team with locating and apprehending June. That evening, a grown-up Cheol and Hyung-do visit the editor's office to gather information about June's whereabouts. Seeing the government officials storming his office, the editor gets scared and immediately divulges that June has been working part-time at a construction site. Shortly after, the NIS agents arrive at the said location and surround June. However, our hero, using his extraordinary skills, manages to subdue each of the agents without much effort. He then quickly returns home and prepares to leave the country. For this, he also calls his wife and informs her of the situation. However, Mina fails to comprehend his message and assumes that he is intoxicated, prompting her to abruptly end the call. Within moments, the NIS agents break into June's residence, launching an attack against him. In the midst of the chaos, Cheol removes his mask, revealing his face to June. June is taken aback to see him again, which creates a momentary distraction that allows the NIS to incapacitate him before taking him into custody. Back at the editor's office, the main villain, Jason, and his accomplices show up, seeking information about June's whereabouts. Meanwhile, at NIS headquarters, June undergoes interrogation regarding the comic. He claims that he wrote it accidentally while in a state of drunkenness. However, Hyung-do remains skeptical and calls him a traitor. Shortly after, June receives a distressing call from his wife and learns that she is being held captive by some kidnappers. They are none other than Jason's men. Jason threatens June to come over to his hideout, along with Deok-gyu. If he fails to do so within the next hour, his wife will be executed. Worried about the safety of his family, June reluctantly agrees to comply. In a calculated move, he pretends to confess everything and calls Deok-gyu for the same. But at an opportune moment, he launches a sudden attack on Deok-gyu, successfully retrieving his gun and holding him at gunpoint. Using this leverage, June escapes from the NIS headquarters and heads towards the kidnappers. En route, he explains the entire predicament to Deok-gyu. The next scene portrays a thrilling car chase between June and the NIS agents. After a period of evasion, June enters a tunnel where he knocks down the agents who are pursuing him before resuming his escape. Shortly after, one of Jason's henchmen arrives at the scene and eliminates the agents to ensure that they are not being tracked. Then, Hyung-do and his team reach the tunnel, only to discover the lifeless bodies of their agents. This leaves them to believe that June is the one who killed all of them. Furthermore, Hyung-do learns that Jason is in the same town, fueling his belief that June is collaborating with him to take down NIS. Consumed by anger, Hyung-do kidnaps Ga-young and uses her as leverage to force June out. The plan works, and as soon as June receives the news, he changes his direction and heads towards his daughter. Along the way, he contacts Jason, assuring him that he will return once he rescues his daughter from NIS custody. However, Mina misunderstands her husband's intentions, believing that he has abandoned her. This causes her immense pain, so she grabs a few bottles of alcohol present in the room and drinks them. On the other hand, Cheol, having reservations about harming a child, feigns taking Ga-young to the restroom and seizes the opportunity to escape. He then sends a text message to June, summoning him to a meeting location and awaits his arrival. However, it turns out to be a trap as Cheol confronts June at gunpoint, demanding his surrender. Fortunately, they are able to clarify the misunderstanding, and Deok-gyu updates Cheol on June's current predicament. With everything sorted out, they agree to team up and head to rescue Mina. Before proceeding to confront Jason, they make a stop at June's former residence, which Cheol now uses as a storage place for weapons. There, they gather some necessary supplies, but before they leave, they hear the NIS approaching. Thinking quickly, June delivers a series of powerful punches to Cheol and asks him to pretend that he lost him along the way. In their haste, June and Deok-gyu inadvertently leave the bag containing the weapons behind. Shortly after, Hyung-do and his his troops arrive at the scene and discover the abandoned bag of weapons. This leads Hyung-do to believe that June is planning to initiate a war against the NIS. Although Cheol tries to convince him otherwise, Hyung-do remains adamant in his stance. Meanwhile, June, Deok-yu, and Ga-young reach Jason's hideout. June and Deok-yu step outside while the little girl remains in the car, secretly recording their actions before sending the footage to Cheol. Upon viewing it, Hyung-do and his soldiers trace the location and set off towards the hideout. On the other hand, Jason and June finally come face to face. The latter asks for the release of his wife, and Jason's henchmen bring her out in a heavily intoxicated form. However, before allowing the couple to depart, Jason demands that June inflict the same torture upon Deok-yu as he did to Simon. Left with no other option, June reluctantly agrees, but even this fails to satisfy Jason. In a cruel twist, he grabs a flamethrower and begins to unleash flames upon Deok-yu. It appears as if the poor man is going to meet a horrible death, but right then, the NIS agents storm into the hideout, sparking a fierce shootout between the two factions. Deok-yu is probably still dead though. After holding Jason and his men at gunpoint, Hyung-do commands his soldiers to eliminate June. In a desperate attempt to defend him, Mina, Cheol, and Deok-yu intervene, but Hyung-do remains resolute. He issues a final order to his sniper, who then takes aim at June. But as the shot is fired, Cheol surprisingly leaps in front of June and takes the hit on his shoulder. At that moment, Jason's right-hand man, who is positioned on a higher vantage point, opens fire on the NIS agents. Fearing for the safety of his family and friends, June retrieves a gun and aims at the enemy sniper, but Jason shoots him multiple times and sends him crashing to the ground. Mina and Ga-young are devastated witnesses to this tragic scene. In the aftermath of the event, Jason holds the remaining NIS agents hostage. It appears as if all hope is lost, but in a remarkable turn of events, June astonishingly rises to his feet, having been wearing a double layer of bulletproof vest. Swiftly, he grabs a gun and detonates a gas tank, creating a diversion to distract Jason's men. This sparks a fierce brawl between Jason's henchmen and the NIS agents. In the midst of the chaos, June approaches Mina and Ga-young, offering them his bulletproof vest for their safety and apologizing for concealing his past. Following this, Cheol engages in combat with a group of Jason's henchmen. Deok-yu faces Jason's right-hand man, and June goes after the main villain. Meanwhile, the coward Hyung-do takes cover beneath the body of a fallen soldier. Leveraging his exceptional fighting skills, June manages to throw Jason out of a window, killing him brutally. With this, he fulfills the final mission, which he had abandoned 15 years ago. Kinda sad that the other agents weren't able to catch him in all that time. In the final scene, we are shown that June and his family are now living peacefully, far away from the world of crime and terror. One day, Cheol pays a visit to him, urging him to rejoin the NIS, but June politely declines the offer, choosing to pursue his dream as a webtoon artist, just as he has always envisioned. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.